Okay, I think we have um, our speakers here, so I'm guessing we can start slowly introducing ourselves. So, welcome everybody to second Let's Talk Cross-Chain, this time with our partners Multichain. From our side, we have Mark and Arjun, our head honchos, researchers, and threaders, and from Multichain, VP and head of ecosystem, the Mustard. Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited for this.
thank you.
I mean, the fact that he's wanting to be called mustard is even better.
I mean, that's how like even my girlfriend calls me mustard now.
Hey, we don't talk about girlfriends here. That's always the top signal, right? Um,
To be fair,
but
she's
anyways,
imaginary anyway, so I think we're good.
anyways, let's just hop right in. So this is just for some background for anyone tuning in for the first time. This is what we call the LI.F I Let's Talk Cross Chain interview, where we just kind of dive deep into projects that we have aggregated into our platform, and one of those is Multichain. And so, Mustard, can you just kind of give us the TLDR on the origins and development history of Multichain?
For sure. So Multichain started 2 years ago in 2020. We started right after Uniswap and the SushiSwap craze. So we saw that there was a need for a cross-chain DEX, and actually we didn't have much success as a cross-chain DEX. So we thought, okay, where should we go now? Like this bridging stuff, it's pretty exciting. So maybe we could focus on this, and we started focusing on it. We saw the potential, and yeah, it worked. So yeah, we in 2021 we left the DEX behind. We've rebranded in the end of last year to Multichain, and yeah, right now we've been focusing on the bridge and the router. We've been focusing on some other cool stuff like AnyCall, which is basically cross-chain interactions of contracts. And yeah, I mean, right now we do a few hundred millions in volume per day. We have a TVL of a few billion, like 5.5 at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty exciting. I've been here since the beginning of the bridge phase, and I've seen it rise from start at like 10 million TVL. I remember being excited for 15 and 20 million TVL, and it's fun to see where we are now.
I mean, you mentioned some numbers there, right? I saw a tweet from you the other day where you about how multi-chain's volume in the last 24 hours is basically greater than like the sum of four very popular bridges. So, like, what do you think multi-chain is doing right to attract such large volumes?
That's a very nice question. So first of all, I think that since we've been around for a long time, I think people trust us. So people like to use our bridge. They're familiar with it. They know how to use it, and we are it's very simple to use. Even if our UI could still get some improvements, I think that our UI is simple to use. So it's not only that, obviously, it's is also very related, very much related to the pricing. I think that I would go as far as saying that we offer 80% of the time, like that is a transaction over $1,000. I would say that we offer a better pricing than our competitors. So by doing this, that is why we attract so much volume. We also try to basically not not only do this stable bridging, but we try to bring like other projects and other assets cross chain. So, for example, if we talk about gas tokens like Avalanche gas token or BNB gas token or Phantom gas token, we are probably the main bridge for them. So people can bridge them around between Binance chain, they can bridge them between any of the chains that we have available for them. So for example, Avalanche, I think it's like 13 chains, which is quite impressive.
Yeah, so maybe we could just kind of dive into what services Multichain offers, because we're kind of cross-chain nerds here, so we kind of want to dive into it at a more technical level. We won't go like totally into like smart contracts stuff, but can you maybe talk about first? Let's just go like bridge and router, and maybe the difference between those two, and then we can talk about the cross-chain contract calls and NFT bridges after that.
For sure. I mean, in the beginning, like we used to be a simple mint and burn bridge. So you would bridge, for example, from Ethereum to Phantom, and then if you wanted to bridge that asset back, you would burn it and send it to Ethereum. Then we started adding some more chains, and for example, if you wanted to go from Phantom to BSC, you would need to go back to the native chain. So you need to go back to Ethereum, and then from Ethereum to BSC. But then we came up with we started using this router, and with the router you can actually just bridge between any of the chains that are available for that asset. So for example, you could bridge between Phantom and BSC. You can bridge from BSC to Avalanche without ever going back to the native chain. Then we offer a mix of mint and burn and basically liquidity based for this router. So for example, you could mint on some of these chains, but have a liquidity pool on some of the others. This allows assets that have already deployed a bridge or have already deployed in other chains to basically create a bridge using mint and burn for other chains that allows them to connect all of their assets together. Then obviously we have other products like the one that I'm talking about. We have AnyCall. AnyCall is a pretty product which allows any contract to interact cross-chain with any other contract. And it's actually very simple to implement. You just have, I don't want to go too much into programming, especially because I'm not a programmer myself, but you simply have to call the method AnyCall with call data to the destination. I mean, you can do it in basically 10 lines, so you could implement AnyCall in 10 lines. So it's very easy to implement, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of cool stuff being built with it. And yeah, I mean, that's mostly what we do. Like we basically want to be the backbone of cross-chain interoperability.
Yeah, the cross-chain calls is a pretty sweet feature. I think that we're all at LI.F I, we're all about aggregation and abstraction, and having the customer not even know what chain they're on and just be able to do cool DeFi things. And so cross-chain contract calls is a huge aspect of that. So maybe next we could you talked about the lock and mint mechanism and burn and mint mechanism. Can you maybe talk about how you're securing the multi-chain bridge network and the aspects of decentralization and such?
For sure. So we actually decided, and we think, and we believe that the MPC technology is the best technology for cross-chain bridging. So basically, we use MPC technology that's based on a paper called GG20 paper. And what is this MPC technology? Basically, this MPC technology consists of a network of nodes that basically divide this private key across a number of nodes and sign a transaction together. So this private key is never joined together. It's basically, we believe that is the most efficient one. And it's very secure. It's one of the most important and emerging technologies right now. We believe that is the best method, especially because of allowing for further decentralization, especially now that we're going, I don't know if you saw that we're actually releasing a new generation for our MPC network that's called Fast MPC. And this Fast MPC allows for even more decentralization, even more efficiency, even more speed. And right now, for example, in testing, we have around 147 nodes the last time I looked, while our network right now has just 34 nodes. So we clearly want to go this decentralizing route, but just like you guys know, like you can't just go straight into full on decentralization. So we're trying to take steps at a time, and yeah, our final objective will be full decentralization for sure.
I think it's great to see that you have progressive decentralization in your roadmap, because as you said, you can't go like totally decentralized day one, but the plan should always be to decentralize as you move forward in the future. So with MPC 2.0, you've gone one step ahead and like decentralized the whole system even more. But like what I want to ask is, what are your views on the other bridge designs for security? Like there's so much conversation around trustless bridges. So your way of securing the bridge design is through MPC, which is one of the most like widely used and battle tested mechanisms. But what do you think about niche designs that are coming, like the optimistic bridge design?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Like, I believe that there are a lot of cool bridge designs and architecture. So each one of them has their faults, like in their problems and their advantages and their disadvantages. So I mean, we have to look into what we think like we need to focus on the most. So in multi-chain, we believe that security is a must. We believe that speed is a must, and we believe that efficiency is the must. So we think that the MPC technology is the one for it, but there are other options for bridging, as we have seen with other bridges like Connect, Nomad, Seller. Like each one of them has their own different architecture. I am obviously biased in terms of what is the best architecture, but I can say that these teams have, and especially I like the ones that have open sourceness, so they show their code and show what they're doing and and they're transparent in their architecture. I don't want to name names, obviously, but some of them I believe that are doing this correctly. Some of them have been a bit more on more secrecy side, like, and I don't think that is the best way moving forward. Especially because, I mean, if you are open source like we are, in the end, you are scrutinized. If a project is open source, for example, we've been up and running for 2 years now, and we've been open source all this time. So people have scrutinized all our code, and just by the fact that we open source for so long, it makes us more secure. The longer it passes, the higher the probability that our code is safe,
For sure, for sure. The open source ethos is just so foundational to crypto. So that's always good to hear. So maybe we can change topics a little bit here and just maybe talk about who multi-chain is seeing use these cross-chain bridges. Like who is multi-chain's target audience, customer, user base?
So yeah, I mean, we have had 75 billions in total volume, maybe more now. I think 77 the last time I saw it. And I remember seeing that the average transaction was 25K per transaction. Obviously, I think that we attract both. So since our transaction costs are cheap, any retail user can use our platform. So for example, talking about bridging $1,000 or $100, if you're bridging $100 from, I don't know, to BSC, we are going to pay 90 cents. So 90 cents is very affordable and probably the most affordable rate, even for a $100 transaction. So yeah, I mean, everything from retail to the biggest consumers, like the biggest users, like funds and yeah, I mean, we are in contact with some high players like big arbitragers, big funds that anytime they need some kind of support and want to make sure everything goes all right, they can talk with us. And yeah, I mean, the retail user, they can just go to our chat and obviously talk there. And then obviously projects like yours, because in the end, with projects like yours, they use any kind of use a project like yours, and they can use multi-chain by using you.
Yeah, we're all about money Legos here, just stacking protocols on top of protocols. I mean that's the goal, right?
Exactly. As many layers as possible.
As many layers as possible, exactly. Could you maybe talk about what multi-chain is trying to do from a user experience standpoint on the bridging side?
So as I said before, like our objective is to be the backbone of cross-chain interoperability. So like we want to be a set of tools that projects can use. I mean, our end goal was never and is not for people to just come to our UI and just do simple bridging. That's not our goal. Our goal is for projects like LI.F I to integrate our protocol and do whatever they want with it. You know, like if you want to do cross-chain swaps, you can do cross-chain swaps, but there's even more stuff you can do with our protocol, especially now that AnyCall is out. So for example, we have Curve using AnyCall for cross-chain gauges. We have 100 Finance using it for cross-chain voting. So we have a lot of other protocols integrating. Like this is what we want. You know, like we want the people to come to use the same way as you could, for example, use AnySwap like Uniswap. So you could just integrate Uniswap and do whatever you want with it. You know, so that's where you want to be like, and that's the path moving forward. When we were talking about decentralization, we also want to be decentralizing that sort of stuff. You know, like where people can just start using us and do whatever they want with the protocol and the bridge.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that like the goal of a lot of these DeFi projects is to not be the user interface. It's actually to just be like the core infrastructure piece.
Exactly.
Yeah. So could you actually talk a little bit about the AnyCall use cases? Because so LI.FI, we actually just announced an integration or partnership with ClimateDAO, where you can now essentially stake on Polygon from a different chain. And it was a partnership with EtherSpot to do that. And we're super excited about it. But what sort of projects is Multichain working on in that area?
So the ones we have announced already, as I was talking about, are Curve and 100 Finance, but there are others coming. But I won't give the alpha now. I'll wait for the marketing and everybody to announce them. But yeah, in terms of the ones that we have announced, I can explain more or less what we have done with them, but there are many more uses. So, for example, cross-chain lending could be done. So, for example, you could have collateral in one side and borrowing the other one. There's cross-chain swaps like what you guys do. There's in NFT interaction. So, for example, I could be using like a chain, like I could have an NFT in Ethereum, for example, and use a GameFi project on an L2. Like the possibilities are endless. It's like we give the tools, and then we need the builders to ideas of what they want to do with it. But in terms of Curve, for example, the users for the cross-chain gauges, so basically the Curve tokens get sent automatically depending on which pool to be refilled on cross-chain. And for example, 100 Finance uses it for V100 mirroring across chain. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless. As I said, like it all depends on the project. And I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll see LI.FI working with us on this. So I'm excited to see what LI.FI comes up.
Yeah, I mean, totally agreed with you that the possibilities are endless. But like with all these possibilities, there are also all these different challenges that come along the way, especially in terms of bridge development, right? Because this space is still new, and even for a team like Multichain who's been around for 2 years now, what are some of the challenges that you guys face, like in terms of development, in terms of as well?
So yeah, I would say the main challenge for us and for any bridge should be security risks. So I mean, obviously, security is our top priority, and it should be for every single cross-chain bridge protocol. So yeah, we have been trying to take measures for this. So first of all, we created a security fund with 10% of our fees. We created a bug bounty using Immunify. This goes together with what we were talking about open source before. We believe that an open source project gets scrutinized, and it will especially get scrutinized if there's like a reward for white hackers to find flaws in it. Yeah, every single update that we make, the project, it is all the whole protocol is audited by several different security protocols companies. And yeah, we increased our tech team to focus on cryptography theory and technology. And yeah, we increased like our security team basically. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I would
you
say
guys
like
also. Yeah,
no.
sorry.
Like the second big point obviously is competition itself. Like because we believe
Mhm.
that I believe that each one of us gets a slice of a pie, and the ultimate goal is to get the piece from the other guy. I mean, we should take a bit of the piece of the other guy, obviously, of the competitor, but the main objective is to increase the size of the pie. But yeah, it all comes down to trying to compete better. Like looking at what the other guys are doing well and try to see if we can do it better or the same. See what they are not doing and that we should do, and seeing stuff that they're doing that they're not doing correctly. And so obviously, this is all bust talk, but like for example, it's co-minting. I don't know if you saw that we launched co-minting for Conflux and for Raid Network. This allows, for example, one of the biggest problems that we see in cross-chain is the fragmentation of assets. And we believe that with co-minting, that could be a solution for it. So for example, in Conflux network, you can bridge there using Multichain, using the Conflux bridge, or using Seller, and the asset will always be the same. So you get there is not the multi USDC or the Seller USDC; it's the USDC. And that is one solution for the fragmentation that we are exploring with our partners. Obviously, as we said before, security is our top priority. So to prevent risks of like the weakest of the bridges being like a problem to the whole ecosystem, we basically have some security measures in action. So there's a limit on how much could be transacted per day per bridge. There's some security measures taken, but yeah, if like I think that could be a way moving forward, basically.
That was some good stuff right there. We're getting to the alpha part of the Twitter Spaces now.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's a question that we always like to ask, and you kind of covered this a little bit in your previous answer, but we want to ask this in every Twitter Spaces. What is like one core piece of cross-chain infrastructure that has not been built that you're either excited to see built, or that maybe Multichain is working on at the moment? But I won't ask you to reveal your secrets, so you can talk theoretically if you'd like.
So there's some stuff that we're building that I cannot reveal yet that I think will be essential, especially when about like I was talking about like being this set of tools that anybody can use. Like there's some measures and some decisions that we are taking will probably change a bit the landscape of how bridges work. I cannot share, obviously, because the a bit of alpha, like just saying that there is something something very cool that we're building. But I believe that like complete cross-chain interactions. Like for example, I'm in this chain, like, and I aggregate a trade from all of the chains. Like for example, I want to do like a huge avalanche buy or something like, and I am in BSC, and it goes and it checks. Okay, there's avalanche in Ethereum, avalanche in BSC, avalanche, and like it grabs from all of these chains. Like full on complete cross-chain interoperability. That's like where I think we're moving to, and I think that's going to be very cool to see. Like, for example, cross-chain lane also be very cool to see. I'm very excited for it, and very excited to see what people build on top of these structures afterwards. I'm a like I used to. I have an economics background, so I am really a sucker for capital efficiency. So I believe that capital efficiency will really win with this stuff. Like if you have this complete interoperability between chains, complete interoperability between lending protocols, DEXs, everything, you'll get like full on arbitrage, like love on price around. The user will win, the DEXs will win, everybody will win.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on capital efficiency a bit. Can you tell us about how multi-chain, keeps the system capital efficient in general?
So yeah, I mean, as we were saying, like our main objective is to be a fast, efficient, and cheap bridge. If we are a fast, efficient, if it exists, basically. Oh wait, somebody, can you hear me? Somebody called. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, I'll have to speak like this. So yeah, but basically what I was saying is that if we are fast, cheap, and efficient, the capital flows around freely, And if the capital flows around freely, we have what we call the law of one price. So the price in one chain equals the price on the other chain. And for this to happen, there needs to be transactions happening in all of the chains, like continuously. Like, okay, there's a swap on Spooky Swap, so that needs to happen on Spirit Swap. And if it happens on Spirit Swap, then it also happens on another chain. It happens on Trader Joe, for example. And so you get more volume for the DEXs. You get better prices and more basically the true prices for the users. And in the end, everybody wins capital efficiency, and to another point that needs to be solved for capital efficiency to exist is this liquidity fragmentation and how to solve this complexity and finding ways like the one that I was describing with Comint, or maybe some sort of way where you could find some way to swap between tokens, for example, some stable swap like Curve or something like that. That, to me, if that is solved, we'll have complete capital efficiency.
Yep. The capital efficiency and liquidity fragmentation. Arjun and I are such nerds. We talk about this all the time, but we're hoping to put a blog post out on this soon-ish, just because I think more people need to realize how big of an issue that's the whole issue for the cross-chain space. Speaking of the cross-chain space, we'll just go high level here. Crypto is very narrative driven. You see, Bitcoin is led by the halvenings. Ethereum is led by the DeFi summer, and then you had NFTs, and that exploded. What do you think could be some narratives or some big events that could make cross-chain more of a mainstream term or environment for just crypto at large?
So, but when you mean crypto at large, you mean like the retail user that comes for the Dogecoin or for the boards,
Yeah.
APIs Club, NFT? Yeah, I think that cross-chain is a bit like DeFi yet right now. So it's more of something that people, for example, if they want to buy SafeMoon, they need to go to PancakeSwap or whatever DEX it's on BSC, so they use it because they have to. So I think that is what's going to happen to cross-chain. I think people will use cross-chain because there is a need for it, or because with projects like yours, it's very easy to use and to get better pricing using cross-chain. So if they can, do a swap, and if they use LI.FI, it's cheaper for them. They'll use LI.FI. So that's where I think that the cross-chain is going to fit. Cross-chain is not meant to be even if it's between now, at least between all of crypto Twitter, it is still like a buzzword, cross-chain. Everybody wants to go cross-chain. Every project wants to go cross-chain. Some of them just for the sake of it. I think that it's always going to be a bit on the back end, it's not going to be cross-chain, have you seen this new cross-chain protocol, like your taxi driver talking to you about it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be I just bought this token on this chain, or maybe they don't even know they're buying on another chain, So we'll see. So for example, like ApeCoin, we bridge it between several chains already, and we have to keep up with the tendencies, obviously. So we have to follow that.
Yeah, and by the way, I apologize for framing that question incorrectly. I should have asked the multi-chain guy whether he believes the multi-chain ecosystem is going to be mainstream at some point instead of cross-chain. So that's on me. But we're going to go one last question, and then maybe open it up to the group. Oh, Marco,
so we're kind of nearing towards the end. One question left. So to the listeners, we're going to give you an opportunity to a few of you, if you have a question, just request to speak after the last question. You can ask Mark, Arjun, or the Mustard, so LI.FI or Multichain team, whatever you want to ask them. So yeah, I think good questions, guys.
Yep, and perfect. We'll just end it here, Mustard, with just the basic. The basic. We've been talking about multi-chain for 30 minutes. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to tell people about? Maybe a new update or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to talk about the NFT bridging. So we also do NFT bridging. I forgot to talk about that. And I mean, yeah, if you need to, if you want to bridge to cross-chain, if you want to build something with cross-chain, just come talk to us and let's see if there's something we can do together and something we can build together. We really like to have and to work with cool builders and builders that want to innovate. So please come to us and let's see if we can do something together.
That's awesome. So we have one community member on the graph asking for to speak. So on the graph, the floor is yours.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I have a number of questions, so please stop me if someone else is coming up. The very first one is, how do you balance liquidity within your network? Is that done manually, or do you have an algorithm, or how does that work? Like, like for example, USDC runs out on one side of the network. How do you do that?
So yeah, the bridge that requires balancing of liquidity, we actually have basically we devised an automatic way to do it to rebalance it. Yeah, I'm not. To be fair, I'm not the one that deals with the balancing, so I'll not give you like the complete details because I can't. But if you want to ask in afterwards, can come to our Telegram chat and ask it. We'll answer.
Okay, great. And then the second one, I guess two questions, is in general, I found that multi-chain has kind of an awesome experience during normal times, but then if there's like a rush for some protocol side or the other, there's problems where it's like, the gas can be high and then like, the transactions don't go through for a very long time, or the liquidity is run out on the other side, then you get any tokens, or you just can't get across at all. Whereas other protocols, because they use an AMM model, they just price it higher and you get more slippage. Have you guys considered or thought about how you're gonna, or how you would address those things? Just because I feel like, when people talk about it most is when, sort of these runs happen, whether or not, things are crashing and you have to go and like, change out, collateralize your loans again or whatever it might be. And this is when people have like bad experiences. And so I was just curious about whether you had a strategy for these like kind of the 2 sigma events where traffic is rushing one way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things that we are developing is basically, so right now the fee is fixed. So any transaction that you do, there's a fixed fee depending obviously on the amount you transact, some of the depending on the token itself. But what we are going to do and we're working on is a variable rate. So basically depending on the like the gas that the destination chain is charging, we're going to charge you more or less in fees. However, like we want to make sure, like we want to take like baby steps. Like every step needs to be very carefully thought, needs to be very carefully reviewed and audited. So yeah, that's to take a bit, but that's the ultimate plan. I mean, like we work with the 44 chains, like we do thousands of daily transactions. So sometimes one chain has like something going on suddenly out of nowhere, and we try to be prepared for these events, but sometimes we can't.
Got it. And then one last question is like, kind of going forward the next 2 years or so, who do you guys see as your sort of biggest competitor or primary threat? Like, would you say it's layer 0, Axelar network, wormhole? Like, who do you see as kind of executing the best, and you think you can learn from the most and you need to watch out for?
Oh, I think all of them are very good projects. I think that we want to compete with all of them. Some projects focus, like you were saying, for example, on AMM, the AMM approach. Like some projects focus on other approaches. Like we believe that ours is the best approach, and yeah, we try to compete with them, with all of them. So, for example, we are going to have an integration for cross-chain swaps, we have with LI.F I, for example. So, for example, if a user wants to get on another chain, they could just use our bridge, even if they're not bridging DAI. So, what we want to do is to point to look at all of them and see, okay, what are they doing well? What are they not doing well? And see what we can take from them, basically.
Okay, this is good questions. Really like the whole chat.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of good info shared. Thank you very much, Mustard, for coming on. I hope this is not the last time our teams do a chat like this publicly.
I
Thank you,
think for
Mark,
sure.
and Arjun as well for hosting this and preparing questions. So yeah, thank you, listeners, for coming in and listening in. Next one is going to be very soon as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you so
night.
much, guys, for the invitation, and thank you for the questions. And
Thank
any other question that anybody might have, just come to our Telegram. Just tag me, just ping me, just message me. I am all ears.
Mustard is always waiting for questions, guys.